Welcome back once again, ladies and gentlemen, to the freest video on the internet, Freebie Fridays. Of course, I am George B. Thomas with thesaleslion.com, and he is the only man that is efficient enough to go from AC to DC, Mr. Don Stanley from Three Rhino Media, and we are about to put a smackdown on another website today. And Don, how the heck are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Spring is in the air. We've got a new website to set free, another company to help. Life is good. How are things in your neck of the woods?
Hey, here's the deal. It is short weather from here on out, so I am good to go. I'm ready to
Hey,
rock
we,
and
we
roll.
we hit 50 degrees here, and there was a lot of people out wearing shorts, just so you know. So,
Yep, yep. And those same people will be sick in 3 days. So, all right. So here's the deal. As always, we're going to jump into this website, Mr. Stanley, and we are going to do what do they do, and how do they make me feel? Which one do you want to do today, fine sir?
I am going with what do they do?
Okay, you take that, and I will do the field, and we will spin off this title slide in three, two,
To
one.
take off.
Okay, I don't know how I feel. I feel powerful, maybe. So maybe I feel powerful.
Are you feeling plugged in?
Well, I don't know if I'm feeling plugged in. Here's the thing. I'm feeling very clean,
Uh-huh.
and white, and I mean, I like the color palette, but that isn't really how I feel. So I'll stop there. I mean, I guess my thought is confused and clean. So what the heck do they do?
I'm overwhelmed by information right away. They kind of pull the classic what not to do when it comes to looking at and designing PowerPoint slides. One of my favorite guys is Steve Krug, and he wrote a book called "Don't Make Me Think." It's kind of an old classic, and he taught me through the book to think of people like literally driving down the interstate at 75 miles per hour, and you got the ability to put a billboard on the side of the road to tell them something that they're gonna, as they're zipping down the road, they're gonna have to remember. And if you think about it, we're a lot like that when we're on our digital devices, but we're probably going mentally more than 75 miles an hour. Lots of things going on, lots of things to see. And Krug's point was that the more clear and concise you are with what's on your billboard, the more likely it is somebody's going to get attention and remember what it is you want them to see. That applies to PowerPoint slides as well, where if you're ever sitting in an audience and you see a slide that's super dense, you spend all this time trying to make sense of what you're looking at while the speaker is speaking. And in this case, these slides have so much information and they're rotating fairly quickly. I'm not sure what I'm supposed to be getting out of this other than overwhelmed. So what they do in the slider component looks like something very data intensive, but I can't make sense of it because there's these x graphs and or x-axis, y-axis, lots of data points, and I don't get it. If I go down below where it says the power of EDCS, it says they design and build safe and reliable backup power equipment that reduces energy costs for data centers and saves you up to 20% by up to 20%, excuse me. Nah, that's what they do. The stuff above that, whew, you lost me.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I mean, I don't know, man. Here's the deal. Like, first of all, let's just talk about those slides for a second as they go by, because you're right. When they flip by, it's like you can't digest that, right?
Mm-mm.
I mean, you just can't. And here's the deal. You know, you can put your cursor over it, and I can stop it, obviously, like I'm doing right now. But Don, internet users are lazy, right? They don't want to have to do that. And I don't even know if this functionality works on mobile, so it may
Mm-hmm.
just continue to spin. I would hope that maybe these slides don't even show up on mobile, but I don't know. That's a completely different conversation. But Don, I stopped on this slide in particular, right? Because one of the things that I really have a hard time with is websites that repeat themselves over and over again, basically saying the same thing because us consumers are too dense to get it in the first place. Well,
Mm-hmm.
Don, if you didn't realize they were EDCS Power by their big logo in the top left-hand corner, this slide will definitely share with you that once again they are EDCS Power, because
Mm-hmm.
we'll understand it in the slide because we didn't understand it in the main bar. That frustrates me because it's like almost making the consumer subconsciously feel stupid. So
Mm-hmm.
anyway, so let's
And the other thing on that too is that's valuable screen real estate,
right.
and you're taking it up twice with a logo that you really don't need to have that there.
Yep. So let's talk about some things that we think they're doing wrong, and I'll let you go ahead and dive in first, and then I'll follow up with you.
So the biggest one is that the information at the in the slider area, the most important area in terms of screen real estate value, is simply too dense for anybody to understand. And it looks like from the content, they're going towards a pretty technical audience, people who are running data centers and working on making data centers more efficient and more cost effective. They're going to want detail. But I think that's one of the things you got to be careful of is where it is you're showing that detail. You have to start out with that first, what it is we do for you, the you statement. And just like writing a headline for an article in a magazine, or in the old days, you and I remember the newspapers, you'd have a big headline, then you'd have a subhead, and then you'd have the paragraphs that go into the detail. You really need to do that. They really need to do that. And when you scroll down on this page a little bit, you start to see where they're offering they have three columns of content a little bit lower on the page, where they talk about cost reduction, reliability, and efficiency and safety. And so those are the elements that need to be higher up on the page rather than the big visual that they have. I think that's a big miss. The other thing is they don't have any presence on social, or any access to presence on social. Every audience is going to be different. You don't need to be on every social network, as we've talked about on past episodes, but this is the kind of audience I would think, at the very least, if you're going to be engaged on a social network, you're going to probably be having these folks hanging out on a network like LinkedIn, where you can share your knowledge and expertise both on the LinkedIn blogging platform, but also by participating in various groups. I think that's another missed opportunity for them. What say you on what you notice?
So there's a couple things to me, right? So if I roll over these little menus here and try to find some stuff, my big negative is that they don't have a blog, which means they're not focused on education. At least that's what one would think. But if you roll over this about, you see that they're doing webinars. Well, holy crap, if you can do a webinar, you should be able to do a blog, because you could probably smash a webinar into 7 different blog articles if you repurposed it right. And so the fact that they have a blog was a big no-no, or don't have a blog is a big no-no for me. The other thing that my eyeball, because I'm kind of one of those design nerd guys, and my eyeball, it pays attention to this white space right here. And I almost want to say that
Mm-hmm.
either the menu should be centered between the logo, or heck, I don't know, maybe it should come down to the bottom of the logo, and you should actually have a phone number and some social navigation up here, like you were talking about social, but at least a phone number that I could call. I mean, if you want customers. And here's the other thing that my brain kind of went on this. Well, we know we shouldn't have a slider. I'm not even going to touch that, Don. I mean, well, first of all, if I try to grab this, you can see, and hopefully this is showing up in the visual of the recording. If I'm dragging this whole thing, it means it's an image, which means Google can't index it. That's enough about that, because I actually wanted to talk about down here, Don. This is what's interesting. So they talk about safe and reliable and efficiency, right? And those
Mm-hmm.
are all words that one would think would engender trust. And so I would start to trust this company. I would contact them, and I would become a lifelong customer for the rest of my life. However, there's things that start to happen in here that freak me out a little bit, like lower first cost. What does
Mm-hmm.
that mean? What's the middle cost? What's the ending cost? Are you going to Time Warner me where I'm at like $49.99 for the first year and then all of a sudden my bill is like $300 a month?
Yep.
Uh-oh. So I start to worry about that. And then it's more reliable than existing AC options. Okay. So do I have an existing AC option or do I have something previous to the existing AC option? How bad am I and how much do I need your service, right? Or are you
Mm-hmm.
even the right fit for me? And what I'm saying, Don, is words are important. There is no good use statement. I don't know what they do. I don't know who they do it for until I get down here. And even that part is shaky, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Absolutely.
I get a little frustrated with this one. So that's what I'll say on the things that they might be doing bad. What about some things that maybe they're doing that might be good, Don? What do you think there?
Well, I think there's a couple of items that we can hit on that are kind of weak but could be improved. So when you talk about that power of EDCS, at least that first sentence under that does explain where it says the power designs and builds safe, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It at least gives me something. And they do have a statistic, and one of the things that will stand out to people and people will remember are some type of stats, some type of numerical quantity that they can wrap their heads around. And promoting, which they're not doing well, but they at least have it, is it's reducing energy costs for data centers up to 20%. That's something I can wrap my mind around because I know energy, I have to pay an energy bill, and hey, a 20% reduction in energy costs, I'm going to guess that that's going to have benefits directly to my cost of energy, but also probably some indirects that I don't understand from not being in the industry. Down below, too, they do have some starting where it says cost reduction, reliability, efficiency, and safety. They have the start of some things that could be big and valuable pieces. Um, they don't do a great job explaining the costs per se or the what the reliability is, giving me some benchmark of what how they're reliable, but at least they're starting to think of things that would be relevant to somebody who would consider purchasing the services from them. So one of the big things that we always emphasize is the idea of getting in the mind of the person who's purchasing, understanding what they care about and what is on their mind. They don't care most of the time if you have the latest and greatest and neatest technology. They're going to be concerned about cost. They're going to be concerned about how easy is this to adapt to, and is it easy to implement this compared to something else I'm already doing. Those types of things are what's of value, and at least they're promoting that. When it comes to, for example, the cost reduction, I would start out that area. First of all, I would have the cost reduction, reliability, and efficiency be much higher on the page, not below that scrolling PowerPoint slides of information overwhelm. But say, on average, clients save 20% on their energy bills. Here are some things that we do that are different. Or reliability. We have X amount of more uptime than other products on the industry. Why this matters to you, or something along those lines. I'm obviously riffing that off the top of my head, but that's an opportunity to build off of giving points of value to the potential customers, and those are the things. Remember, people, you want to funnel people down, give them the big pieces of information that allow them to say, I'm interested, I want to learn more, and lead them down through your education funnel in this case. And so they have some of that. It's not great. If you can go up to the webinar section, one of the things that's cool that they do have, as you point out, is they do have this area to go into and demonstrate. They have webinars, but if you so it's a potential win. But if you look here, what does it say? No upcoming events at this time. Okay, so what about your past events? Do you have any past events I can learn from, listen to, transcripts, recordings, whatever, so I can see if you're having a webinar, what you do, and is it a value to give up my time to listen to your webinar? How long are they? How often are they? So you have this opportunity, as you were saying, to position yourself as an educator, as a thought leader, as somebody who is an expert in the arena, and you've got nothing there. So you at least have the space. So I'm glad that they're thinking about that, because I've worked with, I've proposed to clients before with companies similar to this to leverage webinars, and they always get cold feet from doing it. So I'm good on them for at least thinking about it. But you left the whole storefront empty. There's nothing there. There's no webinars, no information. So I'm confused.
Yeah, so Don, I'm gonna start this out by saying, I love you, but I'm gonna push I'm gonna push back a little bit on something that you stated, and I just want to share this with our audience. I want to share this with hopefully this company, and that's that stats. People don't remember stats; they remember stories, right? And so I have an issue with this 20% because here's the deal. First of all, reduces energy cost of data centers by 20%. 20% to me is, okay. I might be able to find 20% could be 50 cents, depending on how large a data center it is. It could be $5. I can find $5 of change in my sofa, brother. So this 20% might not be a lot, right? And here's the deal. What some people will do on their websites is they'll say energy cost of data centers by 80%. Because they think a big stat means big stuff. All right. Here's what I'll say is people don't remember stats. People remember stories. And if this section actually talked about, X1 of their clients had this problem, and then they injected this solution. And so because of this solution that they have, they found that this cost reduction of X dollars or, X% of their budget. And there was that person or that company and a way to contact that company to actually see if that was a true story or a true case study.
Mm-hmm.
You need to use case studies, companies. You need to show your successes. So that's what I'll say on that piece. And that's all I'm going to fight back on that one. Here's what I'm going to say that I really love, though, right? And when I use the word love loosely, I mean, but I like the design. I like the fact that they're thinking clean design. I like the fact that they're thinking large fonts. I like the fact that they're thinking maybe actually too much line height. I'm battling with that one if I think this is easy to read or hard to read, but I like that they're in that direction. I even like the color palette. I just wish that they would use it in a way that this orange, blue, and green was throughout the whole site and not just little bits and pieces. Now, here's what I'll say, Don. We beef on them up here about not having the contact number, and we even said at the beginning of this episode that they don't have any social media presence. Okay? Mm-hmm. That is what we thought. That is how we assessed this website. But as you were talking and we went down, I had a holy crap moment because I hovered over this little bird that usually represents Twitter. I didn't click on it because you were talking, but I was like, oh my gosh, they're on a social platform and nowhere up here on top did we know about it. But they expect the typical consumer to realize that when we're talking about contacting us, that this little tiny gray bird means you can come and have a conversation with us on our Twitter platform. That has no background, by the way, and has a huge icon that is really random and sort of weird anyway, at least to me, but who knows, it might be a power cord cut in half or something like that they're trying to be creative with. I don't know what this logo is, but I'm just saying. So this is frustrating to me that they do have social and they're not leveraging it to the ability. Here's another thing I love. I love the buttons. The buttons are very clean, concise. I know it's about learn more, okay? And here's the deal, Don. They actually do give us phone numbers, but it's clear down here at the bottom when if it was at the top, it would immediately start to engender some trust. I would say, hey, if I have a problem, I can actually contact these folks right away, real quick, real simple. So that's actually the things mostly that I like is the design. The fact that now they do have a social presence, but I think they need to leverage it a little bit better. And I do want to point out, and not that this is a bad thing, but we're going to go into those actionable tips next of what we think they could do to make the site better. This site falls prey to something that actually the last week site fell prey to as well, and that is they are not focused on lead generation, but they
Mm-hmm.
are focused in at least the attempts of lead generation. And you're probably like, dude, what are you talking about right now? And let me explain to you. If you go to products, okay, and you look at the products page, that's fine. You can come down here. You can't really do anything with it except for read about it, and then you can contact them, right? And if you go to benefits of
Mm-hmm.
DC here, you see that there's cost reduction, reliability, efficiency. And so if you click in cost reduction, well, oh my goodness, it's just a bunch of information. And then here's our slide that obviously was for that, and we can contact them. And you're going to get real quickly what I'm saying is on every page, Don, we can scroll down to the bottom and we can contact them, right? Here we go on About Us.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. There's nothing. There's nothing that leads anywhere except for contact us. Everything that we click on here takes us back to the contact us page. So it's death by having one form. Okay. Here's
And
what's really
yes.
weird. Here's what's really weird to me, Don, is they have this form, they have this page, and they have these stinking things that look like ebooks that I should be able to download. Now that's frustrating.
Mm-hmm. And the interesting thing is if you go into the product section, you'll see that on the products page, they do have in the body copy, if you click on the direct current 100 kilowatt text, it's up in the first line under the Our Products. You will see go up there under the under yep, there you see there is a request for the data sheet. So
Well, but
there
Don,
is one,
but
which is
Don,
kind of like what.
here's the deal. Here's what I'm talking about. Is it or is it not? Because if you click
That's
that learn
exactly.
more, guess what? You're at the contact us page.
Yes. I've
So
been
that's
duped.
you've been duped, right? And again, it's not engendering trust. So here's the deal. What are the action items that you would give them that they should fix to move forward?
So one of the things you actually, I'm gonna offer a combination of items. The first one is one of the things when it comes to using stats or a big number is that grabs first attention, but that's not enough. So if you had save up to 20% and then had see how Don and George's power plant saved $20,000 a month by using our system, the story backs that up and it builds trust. I would want to see some proof in the pudding. So when they're pulling out those stats on the homepage, I would back those up exactly with what you said, which is some type of story. And the easiest way to think of story, because some people get freaked out when they hear stories, is just a case study. That's all it is. Show me examples that there's proof of concept that this works. The second thing I would do is I would get rid of that slider. That slider is way, 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 way too much information. I would put the use statement of what we help you manage your power facilities more or data centers more efficiently. Are you struggling with your costs? Are you struggling with the reliability of your data centers? We're here to help. Something like that. Something that is a clear use statement that shows and let people go into more detail. The last thing that I would actually consider is I like videos that give a quick explanation of a product, give some understanding of what the product is, what the service is. So if they want to use these charts and graphs and other stuff, put together a short video that explains what you do and how you do it. You've got some good graphics here, like you said. I mean, the graphics are nice. It's just not enough time to pay attention to those. So focusing on that core messaging and clarifying what it is that you have to offer is that big one. And the pulling in case studies is another big one that I think they really need to pay attention to. And then consider doing something that allows people to quick understand what you do. The last thing that I will add, and I'm giving this bonus number 4 tip, is Twitter doesn't. I don't think Twitter is going to provide a lot of traction for them based on their market segment. And if I were to say you can only be on one network, what network would it be? From my background, working in digital marketing for a long time, I would definitely look more fully at LinkedIn. What's your words of wisdom for our friends at EDCS?
I definitely agree with LinkedIn. For them, Twitter, I mean, it might work. I don't think it'll work as effective as LinkedIn. I want to give them one other tip that I would say, and that is the fact that under the About and under the webinars, if you have old webinars, you need to create some landing pages for them. You need to put some thumbnails in here where you can click on the thumbnail and actually get to the webinar. Your best scenario would actually be have some type of image for that webinar right here. They click on it, they go to a landing page, they fill out a form, and then they can watch the webinar on the thank you page, because then you're actually converting folks from visitors to leads, and you're able to segment them by the webinar or the topic that you're talking about. So imagine here, EDCS, if you were talking to them on a webinar about efficiency, you would be able to create a list of folks that are worried about efficiency. And if you were talking to them about, the 12 benefits of EDCS, you would be able to have a conversation on benefits instead of just doing an email blast to an entire contact database who has only come to you by submitting your contact us form. Man, I felt like I was preaching it there for a moment, brother. I was preaching that lead conversion. But that's what I would tell them, because that's a very crucial part of your business. Is it's about being able to have the right conversation with the right people at the right time. And the only way you can do that is by using forms, lists, landing pages, thank you pages, all that awesome inbound and content marketing goodness that you should be leveraging for your website in the year that is 2015. So,
amen.
There you go. All right, Don. Well, this has been another great episode. Is there anything that you want to just give them in last minute parting, or should we just say farewell, goodbye, auf Wiedersehen, whatever, in any language to EDCS Power?
EDCS, you're not far off. Do some of these little things, and I guarantee that your site is going to end up providing more value. Think of it as that hub for building trust and engendering trust through educating your customers and helping by listening to them, and you are going to see big results.
As always, I am George B. Thomas from thesaleslion.com. He is Don, the man, the Stanley at 3 Rhino Media. And until next time, folks, keep the light on, because the internet is a scary place.